So recently, the sobriety community I'm in was doing an open mic night. I just actually joined a couple days prior, and they posted, didn't have to be musical if you could do things like stand-up. And I'd always wanted to do that. I've talked about that recently. And so I loosely prepared to do it that night. And at the start of the call, the guy who runs it said, "Oh, like Bill, Ted, and Joanna, I know you're all going to sing, and I think that's going to be it for the acts." And I had that moment that I needed to put up or shut up. And luckily, I threw out my hand and I said, or unmuted myself and said, "Hey, actually, I want to do a little stand-up act." And by doing that, that committed me to do it. And I very easily could have not said a word and essentially gotten out of it. But I didn't, and reminded me that I do have, and I've done a video on, we need a new voice in town. The old voice is that neural pathway built up that thinks drinking's the answer to everything, and we need to show it a new voice by doing hard things sober. And I realized my new voice, my most predominant one now, just says, "Just do it." And do you know that campaign from Nike goes all the way back to '88. And they had hired a fairly new small firm right in Oregon where they're based. And the co-founder based it on a guy that was actually recently executed. And he said, "Let's do it." And so this guy tweaked it to say, "Just do it." And it became one of the most successful and iconic campaigns in history, encouraging people to push beyond their limits to achieve their goals and have a willingness to take risks and adapt. And that's what I've really done in recovery. And I also did a video, number 24, about embracing the discomfort. And it talks about how when you go to do something hard, your brain actually releases epinephrine and acetylcholine. And it's at that point, and then cortisol kicks in with stress. And it's at that point people often bail, and why it's so important to have a strengthened prefrontal cortex to override that midbrain that wants to bail. And once you do that, you literally rewire your brain overnight. It's an amazing process. Your hippocampus replays your recent experiences overnight and then rewires your brains when you do hard things sober. It doesn't remember the drunken ones. Plus, you don't even get to that stage of sleep if you've been drinking. So reminded me, the great quote from the movie We Bought a Zoo, Matt Damon's character says, sometimes all you need is 20 seconds of insane courage. Just literally 20 seconds of embarrassing bravery, and I promise you something great will come of it. And it's so true. You just gotta do it. You just gotta start. An example, silly, was just approaching a stranger. In my case, it might be a woman at the gym or elsewhere. And I used to always get caught in, what am I going to say? And hesitate, and he who hesitates is lost. But now I have done it, and it doesn't matter. Quickly, you just got to think the first thing comes to mind and just do it. Just take that 20 seconds. And they pick 20 seconds because it's an achievable time frame. And it's just so important. It's life-changing, particularly in recovery. Recovery is all about regaining self-love and making yourself proud by doing hard things sober. So you've got to take that brief moment of bravery, push aside fear for that short burst, and it'll make a significant impact. And, it typically is doing something new, bold, or challenging, and you've got to overcome fear, take risks, and seize opportunities, and opportunities that might be lost. I read a great tip that said when you go to a networking event, try to get someone to not take your business card. And I thought at first that sounded absurd, but somebody might. I could actually see it. Someone that just doesn't like accumulating business cards and say, "You know what you do really has nothing to do with me. I'm all set." So go around, and that'll incent you to try to meet as many people as you can to try to find someone. You can even say, "Hey, I can go home as soon as I get someone not to take it." But that is a kind of bravery that takes, and can be life-changing, because who knows what opportunities might lead to meet somebody. I love to ask people, "Hey, where are you from?" Even in an elevator, as I was recently. "Where are you from?" And you never know. They might say Nashville. Be like, "Oh my God, it's one of my favorite cities. I got a buddy there." I also always throw out, hey, do you know Mark Jones? Long shot, but you never know. Just overall, just the things that can happen with that 20-second burst of bravery, including leading the positive outcomes, create momentum to do hard things. And the biggest thing I talk about all the time is personal transformation. It can transform your identity and lead you to become the person you aspire to be. How great is that? So I can't encourage it enough. Oh, and where I was going with that business card analogy is look at rejection as a win. It's like I've said about overcoming perfectionism. By iterating, failure can feel like a win. Well, same thing here. And I've been shot down. One woman said she didn't speak English. Another one said she had a boyfriend. I didn't mind. I was so damn proud of myself. And who knows if she really did. But I didn't take it as rejection. I was so proud of myself for doing it. By the way, another one, we actually went on a few dates, and she became the first woman ever to give me flowers. And I totally appreciated it. And understood why the ladies love him so much now. So you just never know what can come from that 20-second burst of bravery. It can be life-changing, just like cold showers. And I'll end it with saying a great example in early sobriety is sharing on sobriety calls. I talk all the time in my community about a woman named Molly that shared for just 10 seconds. It was her 10-second burst of bravery to share, just said who she was, how many days she had, where she was from. And that got me, after 3 months of being a learner, not a lurker, a learner, had never shared. And I said, wow, I'm going to do it. So just do it. Just say it. All right, perfect ending. Along with a quote from Seneca, philosopher, I think, who said, he or she who is brave is free. So true. So that'll do it. As always, and on topic, stronger, sober. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks.